So check this out. That's all the interior of Christine. Back seat, front seat, all taken apart. That's all the vinyl removed, all the padding, all the hog rings, just a little bit more cleanup work to do. But that's what we did this weekend. So if you're interested in seeing what the inner workings of a 70-year-old interior look like, stay tuned. All right, so I'm super excited. We're finally gonna get started on the interior. It was, I don't know how many episodes back, it was maybe 90 or so episodes back, somewhere in the 50s, that I did the unboxing of a brand new Ciadella interior kit that I bought over 2 years ago, if not 2.5. It's been a long time that I bought that kit, and I've never done anything with it. But I'm finally able to turn my attention to it. So I'm now at the warehouse where I normally where Christine was parked and mothballed for a number of years, and I've got the interior here, or at least I've got my seats. So that's what we're going to do today. Is I'm going to go ahead and start disassembling the seats. We're going to take them apart slowly but surely, hog ring by hog ring, pull all that material on the side and see what we're starting with. We'll look at the frame and see if the frame needs any work. We'll see what kind of repairs we might need to make. I'll consider how much refurbishment I want to do, whether or not I want to spray it down with phosphoric acid or water sandblast it. And get this metal cleaned up. But anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to just disassemble. So let's get into it. So Christine, being a 56 Bel Air, she has the split bench seat, and the bench seat has these trim caps on them. So we're going to have to pull those off. I already have the bottom caps taken off when I disassembled the car. Those are on the side, but those have stainless steel trim. So the front is a split bench. The back is a bench seat, of course. But you can see this interior that's on it, or at least the vinyl. This impresses me to be maybe something like J.C. Whitney. You know what? Remember way back in the day, you could buy common interior kits from J.C. Whitney. Well, I think that's what these are. But it's also been, if you'll notice, it's all a discoloration. This has all been dyed with Marhide, probably. You know, the aerosol bomb spray cans, and that's what Christine, the interior looked like. And Christine had water leaks. So between the water leaks and the sun, this is all bleached and discolored. Now, this is in bad shape. Now, when I flip this over, you'll see that there's a lot of, you still got burlap. There's burlap here. There's the old cotton batting. And there's even something here from, maybe this might be some of the original fabric. I don't know. Christine was like a two-tone green. And I don't know what the interior looked like, but we're going to find that out. That's going to be one of the Easter eggs of today. So when I take apart this bench seat, we're going to get all this disassembled. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to start with the easy stuff. I'm going to start with this rear bench. So this is the back of the rear bench, and I flipped it around so we can see the back side, but it's all going to be fastened with hog rings all around this perimeter. I got hog rings on the top. And I'm kind of like making a mental image right now, or at least I'm documenting on my camera here. I'm documenting how this is attached now, so at least I can see what I started with, but it's pretty intuitive. I do have the upholstery trim book that shows me how the factory did it, but I want to see now, I want to look at all the edges to see how this original cushion and the padding and the cover were put on. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to experiment with how best to get these hog rings off. I don't know if prying them with, I have a whole bunch of screwdrivers and vice grips, pliers, and snips. So we're going to see what works best, and whatever works best, I'm going to go ahead with that, and we're going to get all of this upholstery removed, lay it on the side, and see what it is. Well, real quickly, I think I've discovered that it's very easy to just snip these with a pair of dikes. That one clips. Let's see what this one does. If this one does it similarly. That's it. So both of these will do it. That's what I'm going to do with all these hog rings. And I'll probably be picking up things, shrapnel like flies, for a long time. Pause right there just so you can see. Look, they covered up Christine's original upholstery. They had cotton batting on top of it, but they cut the top out. The top must have been shredded down from the heat. You can see it's dry, very dry. But it looks like whatever this fabric was, you saw what's down here. It looks like that's what this originally was. So it looks like it was a really pretty fabric in the beginning, but look at it, you know, just weather takes its toll. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish pulling this. This has some original hog rings on this, so let's keep going with that. All right, let's stop there for a second. So you noticed I pulled out, there was a listing wire. There was a listing wire here. I pulled that off. You see, so now the seat is upright. So that's the top of the bench. And there's the two V's from the pattern. And I noticed these things on the back. I didn't know what they were until I really started thinking. But there you go. There's the little retainer that held the original button back that was at the nape of that V. Same thing over there. That's what those two little pieces are. So they must have had some cotton batting or something, and then they got this little backing piece. I don't know, it looks like tar paper almost. But that's what was holding in the V. So that kind of gives me a clue as to what to do back there. So now I've got most everything pulled off, but you'll notice there's like several different layers. So this is definitely original. So there was a strip here that must have held and indexed this depth. So this piece of burlap, which is shot, it's got a listing wire of some sort over here, and then another, it would have had a listing wire here, and that's what I just pulled off. So that listing wire, I think that's where I pulled it off. No, I pulled it out anyway. It doesn't matter. So I need to get this off, but you can see how this was originally made, and that's what I wanted to stop and see. So let me go ahead and finish pulling this apart, and then we'll take one last look at it. All right, we got it. There's the frame. So it looks like it's in good shape. It's in really good shape. You know, I don't know that the springs don't, I haven't checked them yet to see how much tension is left in these springs, but they don't impress me to be weak. They don't have any broken ones. I do have new sinuous springs. I have coils that I can repair this. I've got all these little clips. I've got all that hardware if I need to do that. But it's kind of interesting to see how this frame is made. And you saw that there was a piece of burlap that secured it, squared off this top edge to the back edge, the back top edge. So that was all looped. I still don't have every hog ring pulled out, but there's the frame. So this, I don't know how much we were able to learn from that, but there was quite a bit. And so I know when I'm going to be looking at my upholstery manual, I'm going to be looking at these videos and in the rearview mirror, and I'm going to be looking to see how they originally attached it from the factory. I've got some recommendations from Ciadella on how to do that. But look at the fabric. You know, this is interesting. That looks like that's probably what that originally was. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe those are two different fabrics. But they must be. I don't know. Yeah, it can't be the same. But it's pretty, and it's all remnant of the 1950s. And look, it had the metallic silver welting on it. And you can see where the button was, and the button was pulled off. That's what I was telling you that these two things were, that and that. So I don't know how much we're going to be able to learn from any of this cotton batting. Not much. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the bottom, and then we'll be finished with the rear bench. right, let's take a look at what we got. So you see the original seat had some kind of a foam padding. And some of it is still soft. Some of it is just dry and crumbly. Some of it's completely missing. You know, it's just dusty, but this is still pliable. Weird. So that's where it was in the seat. Maybe this is a patch. I don't know. I don't know that doesn't impress me to be original. But you know, maybe it was upholstered once or twice. Do you see the factory, the original factory covering had a burlap that had a plastic backing on it, and there's wire inside of it to reinforce it. So, you know, that's the Ciadella instructions telling me to go back with something like a jute material like you put under carpet. Now you can see this is the bottom. So the bottom of the seat, I don't know if that's the original shape. It looks like those are kind of sags to me. You know, it doesn't look like an original spring, so I'll probably have to do something. I mean, look at that shape. It kind of like whoop, you know. Maybe that's the way it was, but I doubt it. That's in the way back. That's what sits in the transmission tunnel. So this is the part that's towards the trunk, and that impresses me to be bent. So I'll have to straighten that out. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of this off, and then we'll turn our attention to the front bench. All right, there's the top and the bottom. So they're about 98% maybe. I got some hog rings and maybe a little bit of listing wire still tucked to it, but those look like they're in pretty good shape. They'll clean up really nicely. So now looking at the front bench, I'm gonna pull off these, there's 4 trim pieces. There's 2 on either side, and there's the one in the middle. And it's all just in there but with Phillips screws. Looks like there's one Phillips screw at the top here, and then there's another Phillips screw down the inside somewhere in here. So I'm gonna get those off, and then we'll go ahead and unbolt the 2 backs from the bottom. Well, one of these was attached correctly and the other one wasn't. There's a mounting boss on the back of the bottom. So you go in through a side hole over here. When you flip it forward, you can get to it. But this was screwed in from the front incorrectly. So there's a boss on the bottom of the cover plate, but then at the top there's a boss on the seat, and it's right here. So you go in from the through the part into this, and then from the inside of the seat here you come in this way into the cover plate. So all right, now let's figure out how to get these 2 backs off. So there's a C-clip right here on a pin, and I'm pretty sure you pull this C-clip out, and then that allows the frame of this whole thing to slide out, because there's no way to get to the inner workings over here. So I think that slips over a pin. So that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna tap this C-clip out and then see if I can't pull that whole thing out. Yeah, that comes off. So I'm gonna pull this off, and then that'll allow it to do that. So that looks like it's got a Phillips head. All right, so you know, this stuff, it's just like trial and error, man. You just go with it until you figure it out. Don't be afraid. There you go. All right, now it's clear. Now it ought to make sense. This ought to be able to pop just like that. I bet this whole thing now should slide. Let's see if I can get it. It wants to come free. It wants to come free. I'm able to get that off. Get that off. So that's what it is. It's got a little hook. A little hook. I'll zoom you in on that, and you can see it. There's a little hook right there. Right here. So that you need to just twist the seat until it swings free. So I guess it's a little bit of a, kind of locks in place. So let's move this on the side, we'll get the other one off, and then we'll start taking off the upholstery. All right, so I guess that hook just kind of keeps it in place, you know, when it swivels forward and back. So it's probably a way to lock it in. So let's go ahead and get the other side off, and then I'll have it in 3 pieces, and then we'll start taking the upholstery off and see what we're dealing with all this. Right here, pull this off, and this has got to be the mounting bracket for the shell that goes around the front. So that comes off. Get the C-clip off, fold the seat forward, it should come off. See, the seat clip's gonna want to go down. All right, so there's a seat clip. Let's pry this. Pull this forward, pry it. There it is. Twist. Comes out. There it is. All right, so now it's in 3 parts. Let's go ahead and start taking apart something. All right, my finger's getting a blister on it. So I'm gonna start with one of these backs because I think that's gonna be the same as the other one. You can see over here they've got the back upholstery slips over it, and then it tightens in this direction, tightens from the front back in this direction, so it clips all the way up the side here. And then on the inside face, it does something similar. It all comes to a seam of sorts in the middle, and that's where that little trim plate went. So that's how this is. And then the bottom, at least this one, they hog ringed it to itself. I don't know that that's the way they originally wanted to do it. I don't like this at all. So when I go back with my new upholstery, I'm probably not gonna do it that way, but hey, you know, we'll see. So let me go ahead and start getting these things apart. Let's stop there and look at that. That's the original seat. You saw how this seat cover was done. It was just a slip cover and it wasn't done right. It was definitely not attached the way the factory attached this one. Look at this. That is so much better. Yeah, let's look at how the other one was. So this one, look, they lost all the detail from doing that. So just a terrible job with slip covers. So it does come back to a seam on the interior. They both came back to the same point, but the outside edge didn't do like the other one did. That cover was all mangled over here and it was all over this, so it looks like they just neatly bring it back to the forward edge, neatly bring it back to the side edge, and that looks factory because it is factory. So now I've got to go ahead and pull these hog rings out and get this original factory upholstery off of it, and we will be able to go from there. So look, it's got some hardware on it. It's got some bump stops down here. This one looks worn out, so I might have to pick some of those up. But you know, it's all a process. You just take it apart and then deal with what you find. So let's go ahead and get the hog rings off of this one, and that'll be this. Alright, a couple of quick things. You saw that the nape, I don't know if you noticed it, but when this is pulled over, the bottom of this was attached here. So they anchored this to this, and they've got again another one of these strips that's only a couple of 3 or 4 inches wide, that I said before, it kind of offers this as a gauge and gives this some pre-tension. So it pulls it back, so it means that you don't have to, you know, it makes this behave a little more stiffer. So I'll have to pull those off, but I got everything off. And you also saw that the center button, which was still in place on this one, still had its center button here. So the center button was on there with string, and that string went through the batting, through the burlap, and then back to this tar paper backing that went through the springs. So it gives me an idea of how to do that if I needed to figure that out. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish pulling this apart, but you see what that looks like. And then we'll turn our attention to the bench. You've already seen me do this, so I'm not gonna record that. I'm just going to do that later. But I'm going to turn this bench over and get started on that. Well, I've got it down to this bottom layer of, I don't know what this is. It's burlap, and then there's some cloth, and this cloth is real pliable. It doesn't want to dry, it doesn't want to tear, and it is full of dust, and it is polluting the air as I tug on it. So I really don't want to do this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a razor blade or a pair of scissors or something, which I don't have handy, but I got to go grab those. And then maybe I'll cut this out and then expose it. So let me go ahead and get this cleaned up, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end, but we're almost there. And I'm pretty sure we're going to find that the same thing as what we saw on the top, that it's probably hog ringed in that nape right there. So I'm going to probably have to pull that apart. Well, that's as good as that's going to get from me today. My hands are torn up. I have blisters on my hand. I have cuts. It's all dusty. Whoever reupholstered this thing last used some 1980s era headliner material, and all that foam disintegrated, and it disintegrated in between two layers of fabric, and it was just polluting the area with dust, and that fabric did not want to tear. But you can see the springs here, as you would expect. The front bench is in a little worse shape, so you can see these springs are sagging. You know, they're down a bit. They're down a bit on both sides. There you go, up in the middle a little bit. So you can kind of see how this is. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to rebuild this with some additional springs, or I'm going to have to bend these springs, one of the two. But we'll get this straightened out. That'll be the next episode, is repairing and refurbishing all of these steel frames. So there they are, the back seat, top of the bench, bottom of the bench, front seat, bottom bench, two rear fold down leaves. I've still got to remove the upholstery off of that one, but that's okay. It won't take me too long to do. But you know, that's going to do it. That's it for today. So hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you're enjoying the videos, please give them a thumbs up. And if you're enjoying the channel, I'd love a subscription. So until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.